Good evening, Richard. Thank you very much. It's good to see you. And I will start by congratulating Dr. Robert for writing such amazing books. So thank you very much. I was privileged to have 3 hard copies. And after going through the books, what can I say? All 3 books present parables that are insightful. They are very thoughtful and apt for all generations, the children as well as the adults. And I think that's an amazing blend to write a book where it caters in its simplicity to children, but at the same time, touching the hearts of adults. When I look at all 3 books, A Letter That Led to Fame, the theme of rags to riches that we hear in reality comes to light. There is, of course, the chocolate on a tree. There is that family love and bond. And we know in all cultures, however bad a culture or society may be, it's very important for family connections, bonding, and love to be an integral part of a community. And of course, no shortcut to success. Well, isn't that a story that we should all read? I think if one book has to be sold globally, for me, it will have to be No Shortcut to Success, because it has the theme of perseverance and obedience. And human nature is such that we want to reach the top, but we don't go with, including myself, we really don't like the hassles, the roadblocks, the waiting. So this book, if I had to recommend one that's my favorite, well, it has to be No Shortcut to Success. Another thing I think about the books, I think they will be a great read in schools, colleges, and university. Because why? Whilst on one hand, my background is English literature, and I spend a lot of time with, English literature, it's just good to see that an author is coming from a different angle, and we can have a variety of books in our schools, in our colleges and the universities. Diversity, and I'm sure Professor Sage will agree with me on that, is one of the big things, in politics, in education, in every sphere of life now. The buzzword is diversity. So if I may say, Dr. Robert is writing the books at a very apt time when children, I say children because it's classified under kiddy books, where children need to grow up in a world where they can be taught life's lessons. And I say this with every strength, because children need to be confident. They need to learn things apart from maths, English, and science, because this book has what we call the fusion skills. And Professor Sage, I'm sure she'll say a lot about it, because she has written extensively on all sorts of, themes and papers and books that touches at the heart of education. But in its, here we have 3 small books that are touching on fusion skills, life's lessons, that anyone reading it, they will grow, they will develop from this. But what's excellent about these books, it's going to give children the skills they need to operate on a global scale. That is something that is so worthwhile right now. It's also going to allow them to develop that, ability to think clearly, because it's written on one hand in a very simple way, but the messages are deep. And again, I say this is an excellent blend. I particularly like the voice in which Dr. Robert writes it. There is that natural voice that cannot be faked. So as you read it, you see it comes from the heart. This is an author who has lived the experience. I may be wrong, but I think it's, in a way, it might be autobiographical in some respects, because no one can write with such clarity of thought. Yes, the vivid pictures he paints, it can only come from someone who has lived this experience. Is, you know, I mean, I love chocolate, um, but I don't think I can grow, you know, cocoa trees and, you know, and all of that. But that's another story. So when you look at all three books, all I can say, they're well written, they're very enjoyable, they are insightful, thoughtful. They are books for our time. But these books I see will last beyond our time. They are for the generations to come. And while I'm here, I just would encourage people to buy it. Whether you buy an e-copy or a hard copy, it is a book worth having on your bookshelf for your grandchildren. They make great parents. So I'd just like to thank Dr. Robert for the time, the energy he's taken to write the books, but I'm privileged to have copies of it. Thank you for having me at your launch. And for the lessons, you know, look, if you look at Professor Sage's backdrop, it says lifelong learning. So for me, reading this book, these three books, I have learned a few lessons. I mean, they are not just for children. So I think you should revamp the title, your books, and they're not just for children, they are for a global community. So thank you very much indeed, and enjoy the rest of your book launch. Thank you.